News every 15 minutes, weather every 10, and sports twice an hour.
News Talk KGVO, AM 1290 and now 101.5 FM.
You're listening to Montana Morning with Peter Christian.
Police and sheriff's departments looking for the public's help. Good morning, everyone. It's Montana Morning. It's Thursday, July 17th, 2014. Hazy sky at western Montana. No, the smoke is not from any Montana wildfires. We'll tell you more about that later in our newscast, which, by the way, is sponsored by Temprite Service. Got any plumbing or heating or air conditioning problems with highs in the 90s? You bet. Highs in the 90s. Call Team Blue at 728-1111. Missoula police are asking for the public's help in identifying a man who was allegedly peeping into a woman's window on Missoula's west side. Public Information Officer Detective Sergeant Travis Welsh has more.
Residents there has a camera set up in her house as part of her home security system and was able to capture on video what appears to be somebody trying to make entry into her home.
Welsh said the woman captured more images of concern on her security camera.
An unknown man came to her door and looked inside as if he was looking for something or someone. Stood there for a minute and then turned and walked away. And our concern is that both of these incidences may have been committed by one person.
Police are already receiving tips on the possible identity of the suspect from the surveillance photos, which, by the way, you can see on our website at newstalkkgvo.com. Anyone with information, by the way, they're really quite clear. Anyone with information asked to contact Crime Stoppers, 721-4444. Another plea for help, authorities on the lookout for suspects responsible for vandalism over at the Frenchtown Mormon Church, located on Frenchtown Frontage Road. Paige Pavillon with the County Sheriff's Office has details.
Deputies took a report yesterday. One of the administrators from the Frenchtown LDS Church, located on Frenchtown Frontage Road, reported that someone had called him and said that the outside exterior brick wall of the building had been vandalized with spray paint. There was a Jewish Star of David and some derogatory language about religious figures spray painted onto the side of the building in pink and in blue spray paint.
Pavillon says the suspects are almost likely to be juveniles.
It happened sometime over the weekend. We don't know who is responsible for it, but we're suggesting that it's probably the act of a juvenile. So give us a call and let us know, maybe ask them about it. They can call the Sheriff's Office at 258-4810, or they can call and submit an anonymous tip to Crime Stoppers at 721-4444.
Similar activity has been happening around the Target Range area on Norman Street. Pavillon says the suspects are responsible for breaking into vehicles, smashing bottles on the road, lighting a residential garbage can on fire. And a purse in the neighborhood was also reported stolen. Again, the number for Crime Stoppers, 721-4444. Yellowstone County authorities and Billings police say a 52-year-old man who was arrested at a state park just southeast of the city confessed to being involved in a shooting at the park and an earlier one in Billings. Kelly D. Meagard was arrested Tuesday at Pictograph Cave State Park. Earlier, a woman traveling with her two children in Billings reported a man fired several shots at her SUV and rammed into it with his car. No one was injured in either shooting. Police Chief Rich St. John says Meagard told investigators he was high on methamphetamine at the time. Jail records indicate Meagard was arrested on suspicion of attempted deliberate homicide, 2 counts of criminal endangerment, and violating his parole. He's scheduled to make an initial court appearance sometime today. And a murder-for-hire charge filed against a Kalispell man has been dismissed because a recorded conversation between the man and his cellmate was indecipherable. Flathead County Attorney Ed Corrigan told the Daily Interlake the judge also ruled prosecutors could not introduce evidence of prior conflicts between the man and his ex-wife. Matthew Hewer was convicted of felony criminal endangerment back in February for firing a gun at his neighbor. Prosecutors say 4 days later he offered his cellmate a pickup truck and cash to kill his ex-wife. The cellmate wore a recording device during another conversation with Hewer. But Corrigan said Hewer's voice was difficult to understand even after the FBI tried to enhance the recording. Corrigan says 2 officers listened to the conversation but did not specifically hear Hewer say he wanted his ex-wife killed. Officials in eastern Montana have released the name of a 15-year-old boy who drowned while trying to swim to an island in a small lake near Miles City. Custer County Sheriff Tony Harbaugh says Richard Smith of Trenton, Utah, drowned Monday at Spotted Eagle Lake. Officials searched for more than 40 minutes before locating the boy. Attempts to resuscitate him were unsuccessful. He was pronounced dead at Holy Rosary Healthcare in Miles City. The pro-life group National Right to Life has leveled sharp criticism at Democratic Montana Senator John Walsh for co-sponsoring what they call, and I quote, the most radical pro-abortion bill ever considered by Congress, end quote. President of the organization, Carol Tobias, took Walsh and 34 other co-sponsors of the U.S. Senate to task for introducing the Women's Health Protection Act.
S-1696 is a bill introduced into the United States Senate. They call it the Women's Health Protection Act, but a more accurate title would be Abortion Without Limits Until Birth Act.
Tobias detailed some of the laws that, in her view, would be nullified by this bill.
Anything having to do with abortion or anything that would impede or access to abortion or reduce access to abortion, everything would be wiped out. And unfortunately, your Senator John Walsh is one of the co-sponsors of this bill.
Testimony on the bill was heard Tuesday before the U.S. Senate Judiciary Committee, where Tobias and other interested parties testified. A call to Planned Parenthood of Montana for rebuttal has not yet been returned. A former Jefferson County jailer who faces trial on charges that he had sex with female inmates has now been charged with selling alcohol to a minor who later died in a crash on Interstate 15. The Montana Standard reports 45-year-old Rodney Mortimer was cited with 2 counts of selling alcohol to someone under the age of 21 back in June while working at a Boulder convenience store. The charges stem from an investigation into a fatal crash in which an underage driver was intoxicated and speeding the wrong way on the interstate. 20-year-old Samuel Kenton Williams of Standoff, British Columbia, was killed. The Missoula Valley's been covered with a smoky haze for the past several days. Meteorologist Leanne Allegretto with the National Weather Service says the smoke is coming from several sources, but none in western Montana.
There are plenty up north in British Columbia and Alberta, and even in the Northwest Territories, as well as some fresh ones that just started in eastern Washington, as well as Oregon. But I think most of the smoke is coming from the fires in British Columbia.
Allegretto said even if the winds aloft shifted, Missoula would still be smoky and hazy.
We may get a break from the smoke from the British Columbia fires as our flow turns more westerly, but that's just going to drag the smoke from the Washington fires over. So even when we get a break, we don't. We're a little shaky on when it might clear out because we're surrounded.
Fire officials in British Columbia say there are currently 125 fires burning in that province alone. And many homes have been evacuated. Evacuations have also been ordered due to fires in Alberta. There's also a new fire in eastern Washington that's sending smoke our way. Our News Talk time now is 6:10.
News Talk, KGVO.
Missoula's official weather station.
Hazy sunshine and warm to hot temperatures. Today, we'll see our temperatures warming into the mid-90s by the afternoon. Winds will pick up with wind gusts as high as 20 miles per hour. Mostly clear tonight, lows in the upper 50s. I'm meteorologist Brooke Foster for KECI 13.
Thank you, Brooke. Right now, it is 58 degrees under that smoky, hazy sky. Just a few high clouds, but wasn't for all the smoke in the valley. It'd be an absolutely beautiful day.